still watching Business Morning on Channels Television, and I'm now being joined now via telephone by Rotimi Fakejo, stockbroker and the Managing Director of Enterprise Capital. Good morning, Rotimi. Well, local and foreign investors renewed their interest in the Nigerian equities market towards the end of last week. What actually informed their buy decision?
But I think a lot of reasons can be attributed to the turnaround that we saw. The market has suffered so much loss, and is as a result of so much anxiety coming from what is happening from the Western markets. And we saw the decision taken by the Federal Reserve Bank of US as a measure of a turnaround. That is the tapering that they were planning on, they were putting a hold on it or slowing down in Italy. And we saw that impacted positively on their own market out there. And that actually boomerang in our own market as well. Then also investors perceive that the market, as at that time, at least hold a lot of buy interest. And the investors' interest was to an extent rejuvenated by the cheap prices of stocks of many of the quoted companies. And with that in place, we saw a situation whereby things gradually moved around. And also one of the things that trailed the negative trend in the previous week was the news concerning Owando. And I think when it came out to clear the air, we saw a situation whereby at least investors held their peace and they returned back to purchasing the stocks of that company. So I believe towards the end of the week, there was so much positive ambience around the market, and that actually was responsible for what we saw. But I think by and large as well, we entering towards the end of the quarter, because even what we saw last week, there's every tendency that we're going to see a better return for the market higher than the 0.25% that we saw last week. We saw just the industrial goods was the only one that lost last week, and also ASEM index didn't move at all. So I think we saw a situation whereby the banking, the consumer goods, and a few other sectors actually made the market for the week.
Okay, now looking at the sectoral indices, the oil and gas index actually declined by about 2.55%. But like you just mentioned already, investors actually reversed the bearish trend they showed towards Owando, which is actually listed under the oil and gas index. But still, we saw that it dropped to 2.55%. Now, what pulled it down?
Well, we saw losses in a few other stocks, like the majors, the oil marketing majors, those ones are multinationals. We saw a huge drop coming from them, and it could actually have been worse if the trend in Owando had continued, because the number of shares in each of that stock is so large, and it has a lot of capacity to bring down whatever impact the other ones may have. So the revival of that particular stock, moving from 9 naira 50 kobo back to 11 naira, was actually at least a saving measure for that particular sectoral index. But it is actually the oil majors that actually are responsible for the drop that we saw in that sector.
Well, investors showed preference for stocks in the ICT and consumer goods sector. Will this trend actually continue this week?
Well, there is every tendency that it may continue. And I think the outcome of the Monetary Policy Committee meeting of this week will also affect the banking subsector. So I think by and large, we are expecting that at least there won't be anything worse than what we have seen before. And that definitely will dictate a lot of things that will happen. But I think the investors' appetite will still remain for consumer goods and the ICT.
Well, thank you so much, Rotimi, for sharing your thoughts with us this morning on the program. Do have a profitable trading session.
Thank you.
Well, Business Morning will continue in just a moment. Please stay with us. Glad to have you back. Well, Cynthia Ared joins us now to give us a look at what's happening in the news. Good morning, Cynthia.
Good morning, Harriet.
And it's not very good news, I see, because Kenya right now is, well, what would you say, under siege, so to
Boiling might be the term.
No, we shouldn't take it that extreme. But
it is extreme.
It's not the best of times right now for Kenya, but let's really know what's happening.
Right. Good morning to you. Here are the headlines. It's been almost 2 days and the threat in Kenya Westgate Mall is far from over. Heavy gunfire and explosions have been heard at the shopping center in Nairobi, where militants are believed to be holding a number of hostages. Now, 68 people have been killed and more than 170 injured since the attack began on Saturday. Between 18 and 15 attackers who are thought to be militants from the Somali Al-Shabaab movement are still inside the Westgate shopping center. Now, here in Nigeria, Rivers State Governor Chibuike Amechi, who hosted the International Fashion Week in Port Harcourt, used his opening remarks to again lambast Commissioner of Police Mr. Joseph Mbu, saying he is mixing up with criminals in the state. He said that when he took over government in 2007, he successfully battled kidnappers and cultists, but at the moment, his police helmsman is no different from those he's supposed to check. Also, the political parties in Nasarawa State are bracing up for the forthcoming local government elections. The State Independent Electoral Commission has set December the 14th for the poll. Chairman of the State Electoral Body, Abdullahi Modibo, told journalists that the commission is set to conduct the elections after an out-of-court settlement was reached with the ousted elected council officials. Finally, while the PDP's crisis rages on at the national level, the rifts it created are seen as a distraction among its leadership at the grassroots. In the state's southwestern state of Osun, where the People's Democratic Party is seeking a return to power, there's a firm belief that the divide will sooner or later be bridged. That's it from me. Back to you now.
Well, thank you so much, Cynthia. Well, you can get more on all those headlines on our website, channelstv.com, and on youtube.com/channelsweb. Let's take a look at how markets outside our shores fared at the end of last week and beginning today. Now, U.S. stocks sold off sharply on Friday, with the Dow Jones Industrial Average raising all of its gains since the Fed announcement. Well, volatility was further increased on Friday as it was the quadruple witching